Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. So in this video, as you can see, we have made quite a lot of progress. Let's see how we got there. Okay, next on, the chain. We have a problem. The chain is one link too short, even with the spindle at its furthest forward position. So I've had a count up of the teeth on the front and rear sprocket. Front is 15 and the rear is 41. Now I do happen to have a 37. So I'm going to put the 37 on the rear. I've got to scrub that idea because the other sprocket that I've got isn't for the fizzy. Doesn't fit. It must be of Claire's TW. Good job I checked before I unbolted everything. I do have another fizzy sprocket, but it's even bigger than this one. I think it's like a 45 or something. Again, looking through the box of bits, I found an old fizzy chain. It's not brilliant, but it will do for the purposes of just testing, if you like, the transmission and gearbox of the bike while I wait for the new sprockets to arrive. What I've done, I've ordered a 13 and a 14 front, which would give me a range of 13 to 16 in total. And I've ordered a 39 for the back, which I think is standard size. Anyway, I can mess about with the front sprockets to my heart's content once I've got the rear sprocket on. Left-hand engine case has been cleaned up and painted. The clutch worm greased and put on. It's the original one I'm putting on. I do, calciferes, have a spare. You have as many of those spares as you have spark plugs, in my opinion, with Yamaha clutch mechanisms. Anyway, just going to put that on. Obviously, I know that's got to come off again once the new sprockets arrive because I've got to change the chain. Side case is on, and I think the clutch adjustment is okay. I've got a good feel for it. I did have to slightly reroute the cable. I think these pattern part cables might be a centimetre or two too short, but anyway, so I've routed it up. Normally I would have routed it through here, but I've gone around the side just for the moment. I've just got a little bit of slack on top and the action is quite smooth. Come in to inspect. Yeah, good boy. It turns out that amongst other bodges, the proper mounting points for the chain guard were absolutely ruined. So I've managed to make that one look reasonably tidy with an acorn nut and a bolt coming through the other side. But that one is very unsightly. But I'll see if something a little more pleasing to the eye turns up. That's the left side on, complete. The gear lever, I think, could do with a little bit of fettling. It's not exactly straight, but it is the original one. So I think when I come to do the chain, I'll obviously have to take that off and see if I can make that look a little better. So for the moment, on the left-hand side of the bike, I think I'm done. I've got to wait for the new sprockets to arrive, and then I can do the chain and sprockets. That's going to be a week. I ordered them late Friday. It's now Sunday. I haven't even had confirmation of the order, so that's going to be at least a week. On this side, kickstart is on, brake pedal is on, just needs adjusting. I do need to order a cover for the carburettor. I forgot completely that that was missing, so I've got to do that. We're going to have a discussion shortly on exhaust pipes. And the other thing that needs to go on the front end is the brakes and the tyre. Let's talk about the brakes first. What I did when I very first got the red fizzy was buy this. It's a generic aftermarket brake fluid reservoir. I bought it because it was cheap, about 30 euros. And also at the time, Yambits didn't have their replica FS1e DX ones in stock, so I brought this. When I got it, the fizzy banjos didn't fit, so I had to go to a local motorcycle repair shop and have a hydraulic hose made up. So that's that. That will bolt directly to the caliper. That's the idea. I haven't actually tested it yet. But what I've got to do first is clean this up, make sure that it works and the pistons are moving freely. Then I can mount the whole system onto the bike. Got that back plate off, but that is in there solid. So I'm just going to give it a tap to get it out. Yuck. Yeah, definitely needs a clean up. Pretty corroded. I think I'm going to put a little bit of WD-40 in there, and then I'm going to use compressed air just to blow that piston out. There we go. Now, it's not too bad down there, just needs a bit of a clean up. I'll just use some very, very fine wire wool on that. Same on the piston. Hopefully job will be a good one. Well, that's cleaned up really nicely. And so is the inside of here. I just used some alcohol left over from the pandemic. Okay, I'm going to reassemble that with a little bit of brake fluid on the inside and see if we've got away with that rebuild kit. Brake caliper cleaned up really nicely. I also gave it a paint and then spent an hour or so connecting this flexible hose, following the same route as the Yamaha one and using the same parts wherever possible. I've bled it, but I think it needs some more bleeding, although there is a lot more travel on this lever than you would expect. I tried to fit a Yamaha lever onto here, but there was no joy. Right, as I promised, the exhaust. So let me talk you through my exhaust pipe options. I've got two standard French Fizzy systems here, which I could probably cobble together one out of it, although this downpipe is absolutely mullered. I've got an aftermarket full system, but it's a bugger to fit. Then you have to grab the end of this and force it round onto the swinging arm bolt, and it's under huge tension. I don't think that's much of an option. The final option that I have is this expansion chamber, but I need to do some work to it because first of all it leaks here, and then that means you've got two-stroke mess coming everywhere, and also this welding on the back here also leaks, as you can see. So what it's going to do is make my nice restored bike all oily and horrible underneath. So I've taken the expansion chamber to pieces, cleaned it, and I'll try and reassemble it with some fire gum and a stronger clamp to at least try and stop some of the leakage from down there. So I've got the exhaust on. I put some sealant on there, hope that will work. As ever with these aftermarket parts, there's a bit of a compromise. As this exhaust isn't the best in the world, I didn't mind putting a small dent in it there just so that the kickstart would clear. And the other thing is that the seam here catches on the foot brake a little bit, but it's clear at the back. I also put some baffling material in there, so hopefully that won't be too noisy. But I haven't run the engine yet because I wanted to hook up the petrol tank. So I've put the fuel tap on. It's about half full so far, no leak. Petrol cap with a new seal on the bottom. So that's ready to put on the bike, and then at least I can run the engine up. But I wanted to put a filter in there for the time being. Although I cleaned the tank out, there's going to be crap in there, isn't there? Tyre's gone back on the front wheel. the bike shop couldn't repair it. I took it down to them because they're actually a specialist in motocross bikes, and I was sure that they've seen a buckled wheel or two in their time. But of course, modern motocross bikes are very light steel or aluminium, and they said that this was just too tough for them and they didn't want to damage it. So fair enough. That's the front wheel put in with the new tyre. So the new tyre is on, the brakes are working, the exhaust is on. I think it's time to take it on its first ride. There's a couple of teething problems. As you heard, the clutch is slipping, and secondly we have an oil leak, and it seems to be coming from up here. It looks like we have our culprit. Clutch push rod quickly replaced and the mess cleaned up. Okay, I've been working on the bike for an hour or so. I'm pretty sure that the clutch itself is fine. We did put in the new clutch pack, we put in uprated springs, but what I have found is that the clutch worm or drive worm had a crack in it, and that was causing it to stick a little bit up here. I have a second unit as well, and that also had a crack in it, but I did have an aftermarket one from Yambits which I've put in. But even though it's new, it's still, can you see that it's not returning? And I think that's probably the cause of the slip. The cable is new and moves nice and freely. It's just that won't go back. So what I found was, on the spare engine case that I have, was a much stronger spring than the one that comes standard with Yamaha. Let's see if that makes a difference. Much stronger spring is in, and to be perfectly honest, it doesn't really make that much difference to the feel of the clutch lever itself. So I'm really hoping that this does the trick. As you could clearly tell, that made no difference at all. I think I was clutching at straws there, really. Anyway, I have been working on the bike for another couple of hours. I have changed different clutch worms. I have put in different cables and tried routing them different ways. Still to no avail. Adjusting the clutch either with this screw or with the length of the cable. Again, no change. I think I am going to have to seek some advice from you guys on that. What might be the cause, or the cure, should I say. I suppose at the end of the day, what I could do is take the clutch out again and put an extra plate in there, but I just don't want to go to that trouble just yet. Anyway, again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all your support, your comments. Please like, subscribe and share, and I will see you in the next video.